Hi, David, they call me MacGyver. Today I'm going to show you how to finish off your concrete board after you've installed it. I'm going to be putting fiber mesh tape up and putting thin set over the top of that and then a waterproofing over that. So you want to completely seal everything, and I'll show you how to do that. So there's the shower pan. I've actually got a rubber pad over the top of it. And you could use like a moving blanket or tarp or something. You just want to make sure that you don't you clean it first, and then you put something over it and tape it around the edges so that it'll stay on there while you're working, so you don't get any grit down there and you're grinding it into your shower pan. So this is a mesh tape. It's called Fibra tape. It's actually fiberglass, and we're going to put it over every seam that is in this shower, so that everything is going to be completely sealed when we're done. And it's got a sticky back to it. You can just stick it up there. So I'm putting up the fiber tape now. You want to make sure you get every seam between any transitions of sheet or concrete board covered, and then of course we're going to put our thin set over the top of it. Because it has a sticky back on it, it's easy to install. You just put it in there, and then you can either cut it with a razor knife or a pair of scissors, whatever your preference is. Either one works. You just want to, when you're putting it in the corners, you want to make sure you get it pretty well centered so that half is on each side. And the most likely places to seep water would be the seams between the concrete board, or where you put screws in the concrete board, or down where the concrete board actually meets the shower pan. So you want to make sure you go across the bottom from the bottom of the concrete board and go on to the actual shower pan. So we're actually going to be sealing that surface between the concrete board and the shower pan. If it's going to leak, those are the most likely places it'll leak. And after you've put your tile on, you actually put a bead of caulking there, but the caulking eventually will fail and it'll wick back up. If you just put concrete board on there without the mesh tape and the fiber seal and the water sealer, it will actually wick back up through the concrete board and go into your wood back in the back. Now I've already put water in my bucket here, and I poured my quick set or speed set thin set, a little thin. I'm going to have to add a little bit more. Don't want it to be too runny. So I'll mix it back in there. Yeah, it looks like this is going to probably be good. Just make sure you get it all mixed up good. Yep, see there, it's a lot stiffer. And then I just taken about a 4-inch trowel, and I push the mud into the corner. I go from each side, and I just dip a little bit of mud on the end of my spatula there and push it into the corner. And then after I've plopped all this stuff into the corner, I'll run the trowel down just to kind of smooth it, so I don't have a rough surface when I'm putting my water sealer over it, and then of course then the thin set and then the tile over that. There is a corner trowel you can get. I know that people use them when they're doing sheetrocking. I've never used one. I just feel like this works, and I just put it on both sides of the corner and then run my trowel down using a little more pressure on the outside edge, so it kind of bevels it in. And on all these, I just kind of, again, I just slap the mud on there, and after I get it all on, then I will just run my trowel or putty knife, whatever you want to call it, down the sides, and I smooth it out. So right now I just want to get a bunch on there. You see me smooth it out right there, smoothing it out. Now the last corner here. So your corners, and then all the way down against your pan, and then of course any place where you have a joint are the most critical spots. I had this shower done probably 15 years ago and never did any of the water sealing or joint patches. And the actual only place that ever leaked was the caulking down against the pan failed, and it started wicking up through the concrete board and into the wood and then into my sheetrock. So it was time to tear it out and do it over and do it right. You learn a lot over the years, and I don't think they had this water sealer product available back when I did this. At least I wasn't aware of it. I think the time before that it was done with green board, and I thought, oh, okay, well, I'll put concrete board in there because then it's not going to deteriorate, but it is porous, so it still can wick water. Just take your time, make sure you get it on there. And I am using speed set because I want to be able to, in a few hours, be able to put my water sealer over the top of it. I think it takes about 3 hours for the speed set to dry. And then you can either set tile or put your water sealer over it. Now I'm going to go through and catch all the nail or screw heads. Again, these are all the critical areas. You just want to bridge any gaps to make sure everything is sealed up. So I pretty well got it done now. I'm going to go ahead and I just wanted to show you this. It's a 4-inch hole around my shower, and then that's just a 2-inch hole around there, and I use the HardieBacker screws with the square heads. But the reason why I showed you those spots is you can't go right up next to your control because you have 2 screws that you have to fasten the ring into, the beautification ring. And if you go too tight, you can't get any screws in there, so you want to make sure you leave an area around there. So I've got 2 different types of water sealer that I'm putting on. The first one is called Red Guard, and it was left over from a job. And then I have another one, it's called Aqua Shield, and it was also left over from a job. And I figured between the 2 of them I should have enough to be able to do my shower. I couldn't see any sense in going down and buying one of each of the products or one of either or of the products to do this job. Might as well take advantage of my leftovers. Make sure you get a good coat in all your seams, all your corners, all your screw patches, and that'll just give it one extra coat. And I just want to make sure that I've got a good coating over everything that could possibly leak. I don't want to do this again in another 15 years. I think that this is my final time. This should last until I die. Should give me at least 50 years out of it. And even though when your shower's gone, most of your water is going to be below the shower spigot, I went ahead and sealed all the screw holes up there. It's not a real big deal whether I did them or not. I got a little bit more of this Red Guard left, so I'll start with it, and then I'll switch over to the Aqua Shield to finish putting the coating on. Now, if you look, you can kind of see up on the very top left of the screen, you can see that's already started to turn a little red, and around the edges of the pink it's starting to turn red, so it's already starting to dry. It turns red when it is dry. Now the Aqua Shield goes on a light green, and then when it dries it turns to a dark green, so that's how you tell when it's dry. And it can take half hour to an hour depending on how thick you put it on and what the humidity is, how warm it is.
That's the Red Guard.
And then that's the Aqua Defense. So now I'm switching over to Aqua Defense because I ran out of my Red Guard. That was the last two screws that I needed to cover, and now I'm going to start putting the Aqua Defense on over the rest of the concrete board. Again, now you can see the color starting to change between the pink and the edge where it's red. So I'm trying to stay just on the red as much as possible until the pink dries, and then I'll go over it with a second coat on that, and then I'll come back over it again. Give it a good solid coat. And you can apply this with a roller. I just had a 4-inch brush and figured it'd be just about as fast and a whole lot less waste of materials using a brush versus a roller and a pan. And since I'm trying to make this stretch out to finish the job, I figured it'd be better not to waste it by using a roller and then having to clean up the roller and the pan and stuff or throw it away. I just figured the brush is the easier way to go. And you can clean this up with soap and water while it's still soft. Once it's set, it doesn't clean up with soap and water, but warm water and soap will clean your brushes and your hands. And if you get it on anything else, if you get it off right away, you can just wipe it off. But if it sets, then you have to scrape it off. You want to make sure that you kind of clean your area up when you're done. So after this sets or starts to set, then I'll go around and I'll peel all the tape up on the rubber pad that I put into the bottom of the shower pan. I didn't want to have any dust or grit, so I cleaned it real good, and then I had a rubber pad I put down, and then I taped all the way around the edges of the shower pan and went back about a 1/4 inch away from the wall, because I don't care if anything gets on that, because my tile is actually a 1/4 inch thick, so it'll cover that. So if I get a little bit on there, it's no big deal. But once I'm done putting all this on, I can peel that up and it'll leave you a nice straight clean line. So that's pretty much it. And I just got this one other section here, and then a little bit above the back wall of that pink, I'll put some. You can see how red it is up at the top there over the screw holes. It's already completely dry. So now we're just about done putting the first coat of water sealer on. Well, second coat over all the screw heads and all the seams. Those are the most critical spots, and the corners. A little bit up here, and then we'll be done with our. Well, I'd like to thank you for watching. My next video is going to be showing you how to put a heavy granite trim up and how to do it without it falling down. And I'd like to thank you for watching this. I hope it was informational to you. I hope you'll subscribe to my channel, and you have a great day.